thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Yeah. Good morning, everybody. That's right. It is Thursday, July 25th. And today, oh man, Rico, I love this one. It reminds me of 49er tailgate games because today is National Wine and Cheese Day. Charcuterie boards on charcuterie boards. Exactly.
Sounds like something that Gavin Newsom is heavily invested in.
Fair enough. That's
literally and figuratively.
That's why they moved to Santa Clara. It's also National Refreshment Day.
So refreshing.
National Hot Fudge Sundae Day. Yeah.
Rico likes that.
Rico loves that one. National Merry-Go-Round Day. That's for the cannabis industry right there.
Shout out to the spinners.
Yeah, shout out to spinners. I'm not mad at that.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm talking about rim, man. What are you talking about?
National Thread the Needle Day.
Yeah.
And most importantly of all, I would say today, National Hire a Veteran Day.
Yes. Big shout out to the vets.
Yes. Much love to all the veterans out there, and get them some jobs because they need it. And thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. We are streaming live on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. So thank you to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms. You also, too, can look up above or down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And kicking it off today, we have the dope dad himself, Mr. Rico Lamitte, the Quasimodo caretaker, the baby daddy specialist, and that's right, and the dope dad himself. That's right, is none other than Rico Lamitte.
Thank you. Get more applause than Kamala Harris on a Tuesday. I'll tell you what, man. But I'm glad we're having this conversation today because we're going to talk about one of the most controversial, loved and hated companies in the industry, one of the most polarizing names with roots in the legacy adult use market, looking to reverse a years-long losing streak by making a major move into the medical game. If the context clues weren't enough, I'm talking about Weedmaps, the industry's most influential, loved and hated tech firm. That made a huge splash back in 2021 by going public with a whopping $1.5 billion valuation. Since then, although the nation's legalization efforts have continued to expand, Weedmaps has struggled to grow, particularly in emerging markets. Reality is, they were once known as the Google of weed, allowing anybody with the app or internet connection to find and buy from whatever dispensaries near them at any given moment. But now if you're looking to find the nearest pot shop, surprise, surprise, you can find it on Google or Google Maps. So naturally, they've been hurting financially for quite some time now, with the company's last financial release this past May announcing yet another massive year-over-year loss under the absence of a permanent CFO and permanent CEO leadership. But now that a slew of states in the South and Midwest are evolving, as Jason would say, their stances on medical cannabis. Maybe it's due time for the once mighty Weedmaps to try its hand with the Chads. The company announced this weekend that it would be launching a partnership with NuggMD, a telemedicine platform for medical cannabis patients. Per the article, the collaboration aims to streamline the medical cannabis education and application process for patients through a new pilot program. A joint press release yesterday read that the program seeks to improve access to medical cannabis by connecting potential patients on Weedmaps with NuggMD's telehealth platform. The initial phase is active in Florida, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Louisiana, 5 states already served by NuggMD. Jackie Gonzalez Bachera, VP of Revenue at Weedmaps, said that the company is seeing more and more potential patients shopping through Weedmaps and specifically seeking cannabis as an alternative treatment option, and they want to help those customers easily learn about, access, and shop for medical products as safely and conveniently as possible. The association ensures medical cannabis patients have streamlined access to educational resources, NuggMD's telehealth services, and a holistic shopping experience, of course, on Weedmaps. Benzinga's Juan Spinelli reported that a recent survey of nearly 15,000 Weedmaps users, 33% are more likely to use cannabis for symptoms of diagnosed medical conditions, with reducing anxiety and relaxation being the most common reasons. NuggMD's own survey showed similar trends, with 1 in 4 patients using marijuana for pain management. It's important prospective patients have an accessible, easy to use process when looking to obtain their medical cannabis approval, said Bonnie Goldstein, MD, medical director of Canna Centers and medical advisor to Weedmaps. This partnership aims to demystify the process for first-time patients, helping them understand the myriad of cannabis products available. Millions of Americans use cannabis to make their own lives better, said Charlie Russell, Chief Revenue Officer at NuggMD. This collaboration aligns with NuggMD's mission to help patients overcome barriers to access, supporting pro-cannabis regulation and policy. All right, so users in Florida, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Louisiana can learn more about the pilot program by checking out their website. So you can catch the links on our website, highat9news.com. What I have to say about this, man, is I think it's a smart move by Weedmaps. Reality is they've been struggling, man. Year over year, I think their 2022 to 2023 results were literally 50%, and they just cleaned house. They haven't had a permanent CEO or CFO. They still have interim people in those positions, and they just need a boost. They just need a shot in the arm at this point, and I think it's a smart move financially for them. Will it be successful? I don't know, but a lot of these medical programs down there need the reach, and Weedmaps has the money to do that, and they have the opportunity to get them education out to people who need that. So I'm Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High at 9 News. Love to hear what the rest of the team thinks about this one.
I mean, I think this is a great move for Weedmaps, especially with the federal government propping up this Schedule 3, which would make it all medical. And I think this is a smart move of them, of Weedmaps kind of trying to stay on the cutting edge of things.
I agree. Yeah, I think it's smart. Yeah, if Schedule 3, we don't even know what the fuck Schedule 3 is. Just keep it in mind. We don't even know what will really happen with Schedule 3, if that'll really happen. But I think this is a great hedge for them. Should the medical side of the market rise exponentially and Schedule 3 gets passed. So.
Yeah, I mean, this is I mean, and if you look at the states that they said that they're, you mentioned 5 states, if I remember correctly, Rico, and those are all very medical states, very medical
Florida,
states.
Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Louisiana. Yeah, they're all like quote unquote cartel states, corporate cartel / government cartel states, where
limited licensure states, except for Oklahoma.
You call it limited licensure. You call it limited licensure. I call it corporate cartel.
I mean, would you really consider Oklahoma a corporate cartel state, or just a cartel state?
Can we meet in the middle and call it monopoly?
Oklahoma is the trappiest trap state. If you can put the trappiness of Oklahoma as a state with the trappiness of New York City.
No, hold on. There's a distinction to make here, because we know that New York is the trappiest market that there is right now. However, Oklahoma is the trappiest regulated market in the industry, I feel. Follow close.
You mean there aren't a lot of people in Oklahoma smoking all that weed they're growing on them big ass 500-acre farms?
No. I mean, I wouldn't smoke Oklahoma weed.
Shit. Well, damn.
Even though they do say that everything in Oklahoma is okay.
Has Oklahoma reached the pricing of Oregon yet?
No.
Yeah.
No.
They're well on their way.
Oh, no, they definitely have. They are the new Oregon, and that's been something for a couple of years. It's been pretty widely known.
I think you could call them the Midwest Oregon, the Oregon of the Midwest.
Go look and see how much liters cost in Oklahoma right now. I want to know how much you can buy a liter of sweet hot distillate in Tulsa, Oklahoma right now.
Sweet hot distillate. Look at that. Sounds like some barbecue sauce.
Well, I don't know that I can let this go on much longer without mentioning it. Here in California, every one of my clients complains about Weedmaps and their pricing, that they are way too expensive, and that what they're providing people right now doesn't seem to be worth it. And these are just things that I'm hearing from my clients. I've seen the bills they get. And I have done recommendations. Molly and I did them for years, and we kind of ended up in prison because of that. And I don't want to see recommendation market go into the same sort of a free fall where it costs more money to do this than what it's really worth.
Right.
Because I like competition myself, and as long as they allow competition, then you can keep the prices down, because if you don't like paying $250 to one person, you get it for $50 from somebody else.
That's a big
I'd like
decrease.
to see that continue to be the model.
That's a big decrease, Dale.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if
when we got started, you couldn't find a doctor willing to do it.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
going to have to pay
I paid
$100.
I paid $215 for my first medical recommendations in the beginning, and I think there was probably only like 5 doctors that we could even find that even wrote recommendations in the entire state.
I paid $600 in Colorado for my 99 plant count. Shout out to that 99.
Wow. Well.
Yeah, and I used to crack up at the doctors that would write that in on people's recommendations that the legal limits that they can grow over 99 plants, and I'm thinking in my head, like, that was one of the biggest scams that the doctors pulled over on everybody, is giving everyone this false sense of security by writing that on their doctor's recommendations. That to me was one of the best hustles from the doctors.
Colorado, it worked in Colorado. I mean, honestly, it was just a little quick shakedown, and then you could grow your 99, blow your basement out, or what have you, or wherever you're doing that. And I mean, whatever.
When you say shakedown, you mean like they shake the plants and get all the powder mold off of them?
I never had. I keep a clean cultivation environment.
Okay.
Wow, Jason. No, I mean, it's like, what we were going to do with an extended plant count. So, just go ahead and charge us for it.
I got caught up in the 99 plant thing, and we thought, oh, don't grow 100 plants or more, because that's a minimum mandatory of 5 years.
Yep.
Until they came after me and said, well, we get to count those plants for 5 years. So if you get 100 plants in 5 years, you're going to prison for 5 years.
Get out of here, Dale. That's the first time I've heard them do math that way.
Oh, fuck. They shoved that right up my ass. We had a meeting with them, and we said, I never grew 100 plants. They go, yeah, but we get to count for 5 years. That's a statute of limitations.
And I think everyone
kind of walked out of there with, where do these guys get this shit?
And I think everyone should understand what the legal definition of a plant is. It doesn't matter how tall or how big the plant is, as long as it has roots. Legally, it is defined as a plant.
Yeah. And those are still in the books. And if you get 1,000 plants, then that's 120 months. There was
one time, Dale, that I got raided by the DEA, and I had a fucking shit ton of clones, and they had all just been cut maybe like 2 days ago, and none of them had roots. So the DEA had to leave all of them there because none of them had roots. they were pissed about that.
Well, I did a class on teaching people how to clone, and I just brought in buckets full of cuttings, and they came in one time and videoed. Heather did it. My daughter Heather did it, and they videoed. They couldn't do much about it because the plants didn't have roots on them, and they didn't like it. But it never even really got introduced in trial because it wasn't a plant. They were counting every damn thing they could find against us. And it wasn't hard to get to 100 plants. They counted them for 3 years. I think they got to 106 or 108 plants. And, I got to eat with a spork for 5 years because of that.
Fair enough. And on that, we are going to go to this commercial break, and we're going to be right back.
Oh, man, that was weird. Hey, you, America. Do I look like Sean Connery? Good morning, America. Saman Razani coming to you live from sunny Los Angeles, California with the one and only highest host, Mr. Jason Beck, smoking on the best weed in the world. Did you know that we have an audio-only version of our podcast? You can find it on Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. No excuses in 2024. If you haven't checked us out, check it out now. And also, check out what the Prophet's doing in 2024.
Looking for your cell phone, dude.
They probably were looking
Coming
for
to
my
the
cell phone.
stage next. It's the High at 9 News head honcho, known for smoking the best weed in the world and the highest Republican in every single room that he walks into. This morning, he is rocking it solo,
Yes.
dolo.
That's right.
Beautiful studios over there at Catalyst next to Anna's joint. My man, Jason Beck.
Yeah. Good morning, you guys.
Cannabis hero.
Yes,
Jason Beck is here.
That's right. I hope you guys are having a great day today. It's Thursday. We're almost through this week. And, man, I have some interesting news for you guys. Because LeafLink acquires Dama Financial's cannabis banking division, you guys. That's right.
Follow the money.
New York-based LeafLink has acquired the asset of Dama Financial's banking division as the cannabis wholesale technology platform expands financial services to the marijuana industry. Financial details of the transaction were not disclosed in a Wednesday news release, and LeafLink declined to comment on the price to MJ Biz Daily. This acquisition, according to LeafLink, lays the groundwork to develop an integrated banking solution for cannabis operators, which often lack secure and reliable financial services. In a quote, after witnessing firsthand the negative impact of the federal prohibition has had on operators' access to traditional banks, we are thrilled to add banking to LeafLink's product suite, CEO Artie Minston said in a statement. Very few companies and people of South San Francisco, the expertise that Dama Financial offers to the cannabis banking space, and Dama Financial, headquartered in South San Francisco, said in a statement that it has served more than half of the nation's markets with medical marijuana or adult use sales. According to the release, the Dama Financial product lines not included in this acquisition will rebrand to Grow Flow. And LeafLink services for marijuana brands and retailers include ordering and inventory management, payments, advertising, as well as data and analytics. And meanwhile, LeafLink told MJ Biz Daily on Wednesday that it raised another $25 million as part of its Series D financing round earlier this year, bringing the total to $125 million in the tech sector. Succeeding venture capital rounds increase significantly from early rounds and often eclipse $100 million, you guys. Well, look at this. We have LeafLink acquiring Dama's Financial Services division. That is super, super interesting, and how Dama was able to sparse this out for LeafLink in this acquisition is just interesting to me. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. This is Jason Beck for the High at 9 News Hour. What do y'all have to say?
I mean, it makes sense to me. Like, LeafLink has been doing things for buyers where they kind of essentially float the bill, right? So they'll float the debt for the vendor. So it makes sense for them to do this, kind of financial services merge. I just don't know how Dama gets their little Dama hands into literally everything. The fact that my tax bills come and say that one of the options I have to pay is through Dama. Like, how the fuck? It's just, listen, I don't know. I don't like that without banking protection, all of our banking is tied into this one entity. It's starting to feel like, we're going to have to deal with Dama to be operable in the industry. And I don't love that we don't have choices.
Well, I mean, there are a couple other banks that are like the size of Dama that offer. I know there's Salal also and a couple others or whatnot.
Yeah,
so people do have choices, but they're all the same.
I have opinions on both, but like LeafLink, they're tying this down. I don't know. It's just, it seems like, all right.
I wonder,
what's Salal's move?
I mean, because I feel like LeafLink's overall move is to be able to be kind of like a credit rating for industry businesses and with their ability to purchase product, and that I think that was one of the big moves of why they started buying people's invoices and funding those, so then that way they could adequately credit rate these retailers.
Let's keep it a buck. Like, Dama's been very, very smart over the years, man. So like back before COVID hit, when I was running events and shit here, like they sponsored everything. I didn't know anybody over there. They came out and tried to sponsor stuff like events on the ground. They were just popping up their name everywhere, and they become a trusted financial lane, whether you know what they do or not. Chris, what's his name? Patrick O'Boyle. Their CEO. He has been in financial payment services industry for over 30 years. He has the relationships that it needs to grow and to make major moves like this over and over again. So all I can say with this is like a long time coming, and they've been planting their flag in a lot of B2B places for a long time. And now that whether it's Schedule 3 goes down or not, whatever, they are in a prominent position to make moves. And I think this is going to be a very interesting play with LeafLink and them teaming up. They've got a lot of history in the financial services industry and a lot of relationships there. So we'll see what happens.
I'm not mad at them. And you're right, Rico. They've made some really smart movements over the years. It's like, I'm not mad at them.
Any thoughts on this, Dale?
Well, I think the financial services sector of cannabis continues to be an untrustworthy sector. It's because it's not firmly backed up by traditional banks that have those services we need, credibility we need. And there have been a number of service companies that tried to get into this. Dama was one that's been in for a while. Salal, as you mentioned, is another one. We've got some credit unions up here that have done this. But the FinCEN reports are a bitch to do this. And so it takes a lot of understanding and guts to get in this. And I'm not, like, as you said, I'm not mad at this happening. I just don't have a lot of trust and faith that they're going to be able to provide what they call banking services. They provide financial services here. But the banking part of it is still the big unknown, because you can't go get loans, you can't lines of credit, you can't do electronic transfers like you can in the traditional banking industry. Someone can do a delivery and you can note in your company, we received it, it's been paid for, stuff like that. We still don't have that happening.
I couldn't agree with you more, Dale. It is not. I mean, I was in that industry for a long time, and I could tell you all kinds of horror stories and why I wouldn't trust my personal money with anybody in the financial services arena. Like maybe like 2 or 3 of my old clients that I would trust out of like hundreds. But that being said, like, this is a capitalist American way, and this is the future of cannabis. Yeah, the future of cannabis. You're going to have a few of these quote unquote financial services companies, and in our industry, you know, Jason, as you always say, you know, out of sight, off the shelf, right? If you're not visible, then people aren't really going to fuck with you. And they have been visible for a long time. And I'm not vouching for this company at all. What I am saying is people are going to trust them because they've seen them for a long time.
Fair enough.
And, we'll just see what happens, man. So,
and they make it convenient on the operators in that sense too. So
yeah.
And I think that's the biggest deal, because
cash is a problem. Cash is a problem.
I don't think cash is a problem. I like cash.
Well,
I love it.
And
it is when you try to put it into a bank from a cannabis company.
That part.
Unless somebody inside your business rats you out for having large amounts of cash being moved or stored, and then it becomes a problem. And most businesses don't have this problem, and it's still one of those lags we have in trying to be a legitimate business, is you can't take your money to a bank, can't do transfers between banking institutions as we traditionally do in business. My clients, a lot of cash gets dealt with in this industry. It's just frightening because it's hard to insure that. I mean, if someone rips off a bank, you've got federal insurance for it. If someone rips off your distribution company for, 6 figures or more, and how do you get insurance coverage for that?
You're taking a step further, Dale. In hyperinflationary periods, we've been dealing with all kinds of crazy inflation lately. Cash loses money. So the fact that it's not in a secure vehicle, whether it's like money market or some kind of a managed account, if all of your company's financial comeuppance is all in cash, you are losing money at a faster clip than any mainstream industry business. Period. So
not when you buy gasoline, Rico, because at every gas station it's cheaper when you pay with cash.
Buy Rolexes. Rolexes are the
Just
best. The best investment.
Yes.
Hard assets. We are not financial professionals, so please don't follow that advice.
But I have collected payments in Rolex, so that does make sense. You can clear a debt for the Rolex, just not a Submariner, people.
Just not a Submariner.
It's the safest investment you can make in America.
Fair enough. Jenny's collecting Rolexes as well. On that, we're going to roll right into Attorney Dale Schaefer. He's the founder of Armada Law, and who at one point in time did some time for a cannabis crime. Here to show you how to piss up a rope and how to be an angry T.O. That's right, it is none other than attorney Mr. Dale Schaefer.
Good morning, everybody. It's T.O. Loco. I'm off my meds, and he's not supervising me very well this morning, so watch out. You never know what's going to happen. The story that I've got this morning, it caught my attention because a federal judge stopped the DEA from enforcing an administrative subpoena on a bunch of hemp companies in Texas. And what it reminds me of is that the federal courts are now looking carefully at the administrative law system we have here in the United States, and taking away the Chevron doctrine of the local right case was one of the examples that the administrative state is under scrutiny now by our federal courts, especially the Supreme Court. And what happened in this case, this comes out of Law 360. What happened in this case is that some case agent in the DEA decided he was going to issue administrative subpoenas to a bunch of hemp companies in Texas, and it looks like they're primarily retail companies. And this involves that ongoing pissing match we have about the definition of hemp and Delta-9 THC and the 0.3%, and where does that go? And traditionally, subpoenas are issued by attorneys. I can't tell you how many I've issued in my career. But you have to have a case or a controversy before you issue a subpoena. Now, in the administrative world, you're allowed to issue subpoenas if it's within your administrative agency's regulatory authority, and then there's typically pretty strict limits on what you can subpoena. Now, in this case agent issued an administrative subpoena looking for names, addresses, telephone numbers, banking information, a whole host of what otherwise would be considered private information. It's not your business. And this subpoena was issued on all these companies for basically from, I think, May 24th to June 24th of this year. We want to see everybody you've dealt with, all your banking records. We want to know who everybody is you're dealing with here. And the companies hired an attorney, and the attorney ran into court and did what we call a motion to quash the subpoena, to stop it. And the argument was that the 2018 hemp bill out of Congress made hemp legal as long as it has less than 0.3% delta-9 THC. Okay, and here we have that organic chemistry definition at the 9th bonding site. We have the THC part of the molecule attached. So these companies were selling delta-8, and we've got our friends in Texas who love delta-8 down there, but the argument from these companies is that delta-8 is perfectly legal, and they cited language from the DEA and from other cases that it's only delta-9 THC, and if it's 0.3% or less, it's totally legal. So what they pointed out to the judge is that these people are on a fishing expedition, and they're looking for information that's protected by the 4th and 5th Amendment of the Constitution, and the judge stepped in and put a stay on these subpoenas. You don't get this information until we have a full-throated hearing on this. And I've done many of these before, motions to quash, where somebody wants, I typically represented companies, or a lot of them were physicians, and somebody sent a subpoena for a bunch of information that didn't have shit to do with the case they were claiming it was for. And you go in and you ask the court to quash it or severely limit it. And the other thing they pointed out is that they called this case agent and asked him, do you guys have some particular case you're working on here? He refused to say anything. Typically, you can't issue a subpoena unless there is a case or controversy, okay, which means in the administrative subpoena world, the federal world, you have to be looking into criminal activity. And he couldn't point to any criminal activity. This was really a fishing expedition. Okay. Now, this is just the preliminary part of this, and it caught my attention because a court stepped in and said, no, you're not going to do this until we have a chance to hear everybody's side of this. It also points out that a spotlight on what administrative agencies do and have been doing for a long time. And the DEA is just another administrative agency. And they're trying to gather information about people that, quite frankly, they don't have a right to go looking for. And what the moving party told the court is they can go and open a case and they can get a search warrant. But then you've got to go to a magistrate, and the magistrate, you have to prove probable cause by oath or affirmation, which is a 4th Amendment requirement. They don't want to do that. When I issue subpoenas, I don't have to go get a sign off by a judge. I just issue a subpoena. And so we're in this information gathering section here where this involves potentially criminal activity. And I'm going to be interested to see if the court forces them either to limit this very much to what the Texas state regulatory agencies require these companies to have, and nothing else, unless you come in and show that you have some particular criminal activity you're investigating. You got to put your cards on the table. When they came after me, everybody that got a subpoena, when they were coming after me, called me, and they called my attorney. We knew everything they were doing because they had to issue them based upon a case, and they just called us and told us, hey, they're looking for records from us so we could have some idea what's going on. These fishing expeditions, personally, I don't like them. I think they go beyond the government's authority. There are ways to get information, and they typically involve you go to a judge and you swear an oath or affirmation. I have probable cause to believe somebody has done something and it's at this place, and then you get a warrant that describes the place you're going to search and the person or the items that you're going to seize. So I'll be watching this as it goes forward, but it just was a reminder that we have an administrative state in this country that I think our Supreme Court is trying to rein back in and put under the control of the real courts. I'm going to throw this back at you guys. What do you think about this?
Very, very, very interesting, Dale. This whole situation. I do agree with you that this is gross overreach by our government and judicial system overall, and how they are trying to do this. So overall, I am happy with this judgment, because this definitely seems like some overreach, without a doubt. And we see it not just in our industry. We see it across the board.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. That's what our government does is overreach. Man.
Yeah. Good morning, Yarrow.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
They're doing a lot of overreaching instead of reach arounds, Yar.
Right.
Don't start before you guys have your heads in the gutter while I've got my mind in the clouds.
Oh boy.
Y'all
Cute.
coming in here dropping bars. Okay.
Yarrow, your head doesn't reach the clouds. That's too high.
It does when I exhale those clouds.
Ooh.
Little low-lying smog. All right, I got you. Okay. Yeah, government overreach. I mean, shock. I don't know what the actual courts are going to do or that they're going to do much better because, I mean, I think this is a financially motivated pissing match. I just want to know if it goes up or down a rope.
Yeah. Up or down the rope. Is that what we're saying?
Rope, I hope.
I mean, I think
I'd like the judge to spank them and issue some rules here about limiting these administrative subpoenas because this guy that issued them, I don't think he's an attorney. I think he's the DEA case agent. I've issued them because I'm an officer of the court, and I'd like to see them rein some of this in. And if you really think you have probable cause to believe something's been done wrong here, then step up and follow that course. Don't just go looking for people's names. They want to know how much people were paid and PayPal and stuff like that accounts. Like, no, you don't get that kind of shit.
And probable causes is extremely vague as far as how it's written for law enforcement to be able to say that they have probable cause. Like it could be they found a sticky note somewhere that said X, Y, and Z, and that could be their probable cause.
Well, it could be, but you've got to put it in writing and take it to a judge. And then if the warrant gets issued and you get something, then attorneys have a chance to go in and fight this. And have the warrant thrown out or whatever you seized in the warrant taken out of evidence. So there are some controls, and they're trying to get around those controls. They don't want someone to be questioning what they're doing. They just want to do it. And so now they're in the sunlight of the courts, and let's hope courts limit this very much. Only those things that the Texas regulatory authorities require these businesses keep and produce when they come and ask them.
Abolish the DEA.
I'm not opposed
I'd sign
to
up for that.
I'm not opposed to that. I think there's a whole bunch of 3-letter and 4-letter agencies that should be totally dissolved. So I'm totally with that. Speaking of dissolving, I'm going to get to dissolve some Wagyu today. Thank you to the suitor out here with a big old super chat who says, unlike our chances with Jenny, any one of us can smash the like button. And so we do encourage you all to smash that like button. Yes. And you too can feel like you're smashing.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying?
Whoa.
And the C word as well.
And the C word coming in with another hot super chat who says, damn it, this was going to be a reach around joke. So thank you to the suitor of music. You know what I mean? We're going to get some Wagyu today. Going to be able to eat and starve and not,
I think I deserve the Wagyu today.
Well, you'd have to be in studio to get the Wagyu today, Jenny Beth, and you're not in studio today.
I don't feel good. I don't feel well.
I'm sorry.
Are you having COVID symptoms? What's going on there?
Whoa.
You know what I'm saying?
Whoa.
Just, life is a little stressy, and sometimes it just wears down on you physically when you're going through it. So
we hope
you gotta take care of yourself and make sure you
hope you're feeling better.
take care of your star player, right?
That's right. Rest and relaxation. You know what I'm saying? Rejuvenation.
Jordan got a ring with
all
the flu. Just saying.
I don't know. I don't believe in sickness.
Hey, leave our girl Jenny alone. She's got what it's got. She's got what it takes to be successful in this industry. Don't fuck with her.
Oh,
I'm an old man. I'm not going to get irritated at you, all right?
Look at that.
I got daughters like her. I want to support them.
Yeah, Dale. Dale.
Fair enough.
That was an off-color joke. It was appropriate to the show. And anatomically, it's also not wrong. You are supposed to smash the like button. So I thought it was pretty.
I thought it was perfect. Make sure
what
you
button are you
smash.
talking about now?
You smash the like button. There's a like button on YouTube, Dale, that we want everyone to smash. It's
Yeah.
The one Yarrow was talking about, please don't smash it. That's
smash it.
Dale's like, what the fuck is a like button?
Yeah, exactly.
I can lick my eyebrows. Does that make me a like button or what?
No, whoa. Oh man, and on that,
Put your ass in the corner.
yeah, on that, looking eyebrow lickers, we're gonna roll into a commercial and we're gonna be right back.
I'm impressed by that.
The Control Tower from Highly Educated has perfected the dab. Utilizing the concept of thin film evaporation, you can waste none of it and taste all of it. The micro texture of the SE pillar increases nucleation at elevated temperatures. And with the tower propelling at 2,600 RPMs, it's certainly the most efficient dab experience to date. The Control Tower from Highly Educated.
Jenny's tired, man.
All right, stop whatever you're doing. Make sure that you hit that like button. I know we'll appreciate it, you'll appreciate it, and YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can find directly on our website at www.highat9news.com. I'm Jason Beck, and this is Smoky Vanilla. And if you want to feel as good as I look, then you need to get a stretch and smoke with Smoky Vanilla.
Hi, I'm Smoky Vanilla. I have my bachelor's degree in kinesiology, and I'm a sports massage therapist and stretch coach. I focus mostly on individuals that are in sport with chronic pain or injury. I love to intuitively create and customize a session based on the individual that I'm working with. We'll go over a few postural assessments, work together to create a wellness journey based on the health history, past injuries, or anything still affecting you today. And we'll get you back on your feet right away with less pain.
We're about to stretch, and then we're gonna smoke, because we're gonna get on our stretch and smoke. If you want to feel as good as I look, then you need to come on down and get a stretch and smoke with none other than Smoky Vanilla.
Yarrow,
Oh man,
we're on.
Yeah, we're back, Yarrow.
And up next, sometimes sensible Southern female conservative voice. It's a little under the weather today, but she showed up anyway. So big ups to Jenny Beth for showing up, because you know what? When you're a DEI hire, you might get fired if you don't show up anyways. I joke.
Boy.
I got nothing but love. That's a joke. Come on, conservatives. Take a joke.
I've been in this industry since before a lot of people were admitting they smoke weed.
That's true. And that's probably why you are behind Kind Cannabis Consulting and Justice Serve 501c3 and bringing us the heat for the first story of the second half of today's show. Jenny Beth Dills.
It's okay. We all know that Rico was the diversity hire, so it's all right. Thank you, Rico.
Oh, shots fired.
Was I? Well, I believe I came up with the name for this show, Jenny Beth. Diversity.
We got you here because of the hair. It's the hair.
It is the hair.
and the
It
good
is the hair. He's always trying to cover up.
Lack thereof.
He loves a good cover up.
All right.
Listen, I had to roll in this morning, sick or not, because this story needed to be covered, and it's exciting, and it's probably the most exciting one we have today, because Covelo cannabis heist ends in gunfire and arrests. Disclaimer. The following is a press release from the Mendocino County Sheriff's Office. The information has not been proven in a court of law, and any individuals described should be presumed innocent until proven guilty, but they did put his face up there, so that's interesting. On 7/22/24 at approximately 3:11 p.m., Mendocino County Sheriff's Office deputies were dispatched to a property in the 24,000 block of Shady Lane in Covelo for a report of an in-progress burglary. It was reported that residents interrupted multiple subjects stealing marijuana who subsequently fled the location in a red pickup and a U-Haul box truck. These are rippers, and we don't like them. Shouldn't do this in Mendo. Here's why. Law enforcement from numerous agencies throughout Mendocino County responded to include representatives from the Mendocino County Sheriff's Office, California Highway Patrol, CAL FIRE prevention officers, California State Parks, and Round Valley Tribal Police Department. They all came to whip this guy's ass, because a short time later, the caller to the Mendocino Sheriff's Office dispatch provided updated information that a U-Haul box truck had returned to the property on Shady Lane, and the residents confronted two of the subjects in their driveway. Sheriff's Office dispatchers then heard what they believed to be firearms being discharged over the phone line, and the residents reported that there was an exchange of gunfire between the residents and the suspects. The residents physically subdued two of the suspects until law enforcement arrived, while the other suspects fled the area. law enforcement personnel arrived and detained 34-year-old Gary Castell Fight from San Francisco and 28-year-old Marcel J. Marie Earl Patterson, God bless, from Richmond, California. Fight and Patterson both had significant injuries to their faces, heads, and extremities, which were reportedly caused by the residents prior to law enforcement arrival at the scene. Mendocino County Sheriff's Office detectives were summoned to the scene to assist with the investigation. Fight and Patterson were transported to Howard Memorial Hospital to be treated for injuries sustained during the incident. Fight was arrested for violations of 213 PC, robbery, 29800 PC, prohibited person in possession of a firearm, and 12022.53 PC, armed with a firearm during the commission of a felony. Fight was booked into the Mendocino County Jail in lieu of $500,000 bail. Patterson, however, was unable to be incarcerated due to the significance of his injuries and was subsequently airlifted to an out-of-county hospital for further medical treatment. Charges against Patterson are pending while he is hospitalized for his injuries. At this stage of the investigation, law enforcement does not believe the suspects or victims were shot during the exchange of gunfire while law enforcement personnel were responding. This case is actively being investigated by the Mendocino Sheriff's Office, and additional information will be released as it becomes available. Anyone with information related to this wants to snitch, just call Mendocino Sheriff's Dispatch. But I love this story. You guys, rippers have been a huge problem for a very long time. I have had multiple fucking facilities robbed. It is frustrating as shit. I love the tremendous response by Mendocino County because they came out and called everybody but the dog up the street to come respond to this. And these guys got their asses beat. The fact that you had to be airlifted and you're now handcuffed to a hospital bed waiting to go to jail for stealing someone's cannabis, good on you, idiot. What do you guys think?
Shoot back at him. Shoot back at him.
Mm-hmm.
What I say.
Yeah, I mean,
They did. They did.
The guy wasn't airlifted because he got shot. He was airlifted because he got the shit kicked out of him, which is what they need to do. You show up to rob people, you shouldn't expect it's just going to be a cakewalk and some little old lady's going to let you walk in. Someone's liable to shoot your ass back, and if you get in, maybe they're going to stomp the shit out of you for daring to come in there. Mm-hmm. I've had clients who have had gunfights with these clowns. And, you know, when they show up and people shoot back at your ass, they stop planning this so much.
Go ahead, Yarrow.
Covelo is a rough area. It is not for the faint of heart. This is not a place where you go. This ain't some smash and grab of a dispensary near Union Square in San Francisco. Covelo is not a place where people play. It is a traditionally prolific producing region in the Emerald Triangle. It will be its own appellation. I spent some of my formative years growing up there. I've sold a ton of property and been involved in a bunch of transactions in Covelo. And the problem also is there's no quick getaway. It's an hour and a half of single lane windy roads from Covelo to 101. So you can't outrun a radio call. And the fact that these people got their asses handed to them, honestly, I'm not mad at it because I think it sends a signal to robbers and marauders that people do take their private property seriously. And Covelo would be the worst place to think that you could do that. Maybe you could find some soft folks down in Adelanto. Maybe you got some flip-flop wearing motherfuckers in Coachella. But you go to Covelo to rip people off, you are not going to come back in one piece. And unfortunately,
I don't know if Adelanto is a good place to say that either, man.
I didn't say it was a great place,
pretty
but I can guarantee people aren't as gritty there as they are in Covelo. And the thing that bothers me is just the cost to taxpayers of all of these departments having to respond, the cost of the airlift for the guy who, you know, let's not say he deserved it because nobody deserves violence, but
wait a minute. He deserved violence.
I heard that after he gets released from the hospital, he's going to wear a bandage on his ear, but that's a whole different thing. This is just, you don't go to Covelo thinking you're going to take advantage of people because this is not a place people play.
Yeah, sometimes
I'm
violence
surprised they made it off the hill. I don't even care if the police came or not. I'm surprised they made it off the hill, to be completely honest with you. And like, you could get shot for accidentally driving down the wrong driveway in some areas of Mendocino County and in some areas of Humboldt. And I love it up there. It's beautiful. They're great people, but they are not to be fucked around with. So I just don't understand. Like, somebody obviously went and tried to buy some packs, thought they were going to set something up, and then came back to rob them and found out like these aren't the good old boy idiot redneck thought you were dealing with, they just beat the dog shit out of you. And I love to see it.
Yeah,
cautionary tale.
That's right.
I went to Shady Lane in Covelo, California to try to rob somebody.
I mean, they don't
That's the actual place.
And make this shit up, can you, Jenny Beth?
they don't call it Murder Mountain for a reason.
For nothing.
That's not Murder Mountain, but that's okay.
It's all right,
close enough.
right around the same area.
They're not compost tea at this point.
Right. Well, they said some of them got away, so.
I mean, what do you think?
What was the deal the first day when you start on the hill? You have to dig your hole just in case.
Yeah, what do you think these guys' motives were behind this? You think it's somebody that they know, or they just did not know?
Oh, they definitely knew the person. This wasn't just like, oh, we're gonna go into this building and just go and see what we find. I'm not buying that for a second.
These are Bay guys. So what usually happens is somebody will come and pretend that they're going to shop at your situation. They'll argue, haggle over price, tell you they're going to go get it cheaper somewhere else.
Want to see?
And then they come back and rob you for it.
Yep, and they'll ask to see everything. They want to see everything because nothing that you have will be exactly what they're looking for. It'll be close or whatnot, and seen this happen way too many times.
It's just dumbasses fucked around and found out, huh?
Yeah.
And I love to see it, Rico.
You too.
This is justice in our industry, and I ain't mad at it because the criminal justice system ain't helping us because they still think that this is soft crime. So let us take care of it. And if you find them hanging in a tree somewhere, don't stop and help them. Just drive on by.
Yep.
Let us take care of it. Then you guys can come and arrest them. That way, if you don't prosecute them, then at least we got something sorted out. And to you guys' points on the law enforcement, it 100% does send a message to criminals when law enforcement does have a fast, quick response time like this, as well as did what they did in regards with the assailants. But West Hollywood had a similar kind of thing when we first came and opened up in West Hollywood because they didn't want West Hollywood to be known as the place to come and rob stores or anything like that. So the city put us on the same response time as banks. And so when our alarm would go off, let me tell you something, that our whole block was on lockdown within 3 to 5 minutes. That must be nice. Hey, shout out to Oakland PD, who still hasn't responded to write a report about a burglary from last year. Thanks, guys. Shout out to you.
And they one night they caught someone trying to break into my place from the roof, and the cops arrested him on the roof. And then rolled him, and this is in the back roof, and I'm sure Jenny and Rico, you know exactly the height that I'm talking about. And so they were on
out the back.
They were on the roof of the mortuary, which is now the art gallery. Okay, and they basically rolled them off of that, landed on our dumpster, and then rolled onto the ground, and he was handcuffed. And I couldn't been more happier with the West Hollywood Sheriff's Department for that.
You mean West Hollywood Sheriff's Department was good at stopping somebody on a sloped roof, but the Secret Service
actually that roof is not slanted. That's a flat roof. But yes, I see what you did there. That was cute. Rico. We're gonna go to our last commercial. We're gonna be right back.
Inside job.
I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's Joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Did you get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi.
We're back.
Government and competence.
Yes.
Up next, we got a second-generation cultivator, founder of Special Teams Consulting, fellow dope dad, and quite possibly the angriest man in Northern California when he's not in his car driving. He's joining us from his own home studio, Yarrow Kubrin. Pinkies up, brother.
Thank you, Rico. The intros just get better and better. Good morning,
Moist.
High at 9 News viewers. Thursday, July 25th, rounding out the hour. My article, dry and boring, like the water cracker without the cheese. But Jason's going to get some Wagyu later, so there'll be some.
You're going to add a little moisture to it. Just do it. Drip,
moisture.
drip, drip, drip.
So, hot off the press, MJ Biz Daily by Omar Sackerby. States struggle to implement effective environmental regulations for marijuana. When it comes to being environmentally friendly, there are things marijuana businesses can do voluntarily and things that states mandate they do. Like any type of business, marijuana companies are required to comply with environmental and energy regulations laid out by their respective states. Such regulations can include how to treat or dispose of wastewater and adhere to energy efficiency standards that often require specific lighting or heating, ventilation, and air conditioning equipment. The cannabis industry's outsized impact on the environment, especially high energy and water use, increasingly is catching the attention of regulators, and in some states are developing marijuana-specific environmental regulations in response. Energy efficiencies was a bit of an afterthought as states were putting these rules together, said Sam Milton, principal of Portland, Maine-based Climate Resource Group, a consultancy specializing in indoor horticulture. It's just not, frankly, a huge priority of regulators or the commissions, he said. The environmental stuff gets shunted aside. Adopting environmental regulations. States that have taken cannabis-specific environmental action include California, Illinois, Massachusetts, Michigan, and New York. Some cities and towns have also taken environmental measures, such as Ann Arbor and Grand Rapids in Michigan, Beverly, Massachusetts, and Boulder, Colorado. While these areas have their own rules, there are some common themes among the regulations, most notably an effort to reduce the cannabis industry's voracious energy usage, Milton said. The first theme is how do we limit the overall energy intensity of the industry, the lighting, the HVAC. These are the two biggest areas that comprise cultivators' energy use, he said. States with mandates, they address those two technology types. For example, California, the state requires the growers use an integrated HVAC system with on-site heat recovery for reheating dehumidified air, as well as a chilled water system with on-site heat recovery for reheating dehumidified air. Massachusetts, the grower's lighting power intensity may not be higher than 36 watts per square foot of canopy, essentially a 576 watt bulb for a 4x4 grid. That sucks. Licensees can also comply by using lighting fixtures from the Design Lights Consortium's horticulture qualified products list that have a photosynthetic phototron efficiency, or PPE, that is 15% above the organization's minimum. The state also requires license applicants and renewals to submit an annual report showing energy, water, and gas use. Illinois, for example, this state has rules that are similar to Massachusetts, except that they apply only to recreational cultivators. Illinois cultivators, depending on their size, must use ductless split HVAC units, variable refrigerant flow HVAC units, or similar energy-efficient HVAC options. Illinois also mandates automated watering systems and equipment for capturing condensate. New Jersey and Oregon, cultivation the license applicants must submit energy and water use plans as well as wastewater management plans. New York and Vermont, all licensees require licensed applicants and renewals to submit an annual report showing their energy, water, and gas use. Regulatory environment is difficult. While Milton and other industry sustainability advocates welcome a bigger focus by states to make it for a greener cannabis industry, they say the measure often have only marginal impact. One problem is that these regulations are hard to enforce, Milton said. An exception is Massachusetts, which requires an independent third-party energy evaluator to certify that licensees are complying with environmental rules. Evaluators check what type of lights are being used, how many there are, and the lighting layout. He also believes the state regulators tasked with crafting and enforcing environmental rules should be educated on cannabis sustainability issues. The regulators need to get educated around what the regulations actually entail, Milton said. They have a checklist of stuff they need to be checking for in a facility. All the aspects, especially the energy place, can be very technical. The inspectors are often not qualified to be inspecting for energy and environmental rules and regulations. Beyond that, regulators need to educate growers about the rebates that are available to them when they buy energy-efficient equipment. Incentives and information about that is now more effective than regulation that deter somebody, Milton said. Okay, so let me kick this off. I'm all for energy efficiency. Y'all know I'm a big old hippie named after a medicinal flower, and I'm going to save every sea turtle, and I'm going to make sure that we acknowledge that climate change is a thing and that we need to offset our carbon footprint. That said, There was a study done many years ago by, I believe, an applied economist at Colorado, some university in Colorado, about the impacts of indoor cultivation. And that became a Bible for people's criticism of indoor cultivation. And what that scholar author used was low efficiency, 1,000-watt, high intensity bulbs in uninsulated warehouses in Los Angeles, and used it as this example that the industry was just power hogs. It didn't take into account energy efficient LED lights. It didn't take into account recapturing the water from dehumidification processes. It didn't take into account buildings that could be insulated and be more energy efficient. And it was contrasted with outdoor cultivation. And then everybody was all about sun-grown. Now, I'm all about sun-grown for the terroir and the terps, don't get me wrong. But the notion that having all of your employees drive down dirt roads and taking arable land that could have been in food production and all of the inefficiencies of outdoor irrigation is somehow makes indoor cultivation this terrible environmental impact. I think there's some presumptions there that need to be stress tested. The other thing that I would just offer is that cannabis uses more water than grapes. I get it. Don't get me wrong. I'm the guy who likes the Pinot. But on an acre by acre basis, the amount of water that it uses relative to the value as a cash crop that it produces is actually a better return on every drop of water for every dollar realized. And so I think it's important that the cannabis industry not allow itself to be a redheaded stepchild and to be seen as such an energy, a high energy use industry that it gets maligned with overreach, when we talked about today, and regulation that might not be sustainable in and of itself. This is Yarrow Kubrin, High at 9 News. I'd like to hear what the rest of you think.
I mean, the states are going to continue to struggle with all this. There's going to be an ongoing problem, and I don't see any resolve because the the regulators are going to want more and more restrictions on everything, and it's going to cause people to have more things to do. I don't see any end in this.
Do you know who the issue with the water is in California? It's not weed. It's not the grapes.
Oh, this is another
avocado people.
Yeah.
Jenny, I think you muted.
Pistachios.
Yep. Don't forget all the almonds.
All the nuts. Mm-hmm. I mean, like it's water rights in California. It's not like we're next to.
You're still muted, Jenny.
No.
I'm muted.
No, you're not. No. We hear her, Dale. I don't know why you don't hear her, but I hear her.
Because you keep talking over me. I'm kidding.
Whoa.
All that after Dale protected you earlier on, man.
Yeah. No, I was talking about Jason talking over me is why Dale couldn't hear me.
No, I'm not talking over you. It's just your internet speed. You're a little bit delayed because you're not in studio, so you're not getting it real time.
I'm sorry.
He said get your fiber up.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I've had to deal with the California Environmental Quality Act here for years, and it is just draconian. And I saw that the city of San Francisco is going to challenge the EPA on, putting waste out into the ocean. So we'll see if we get some help against the EPA and reining back in some of their perhaps administrative overreach and things. It's difficult, if not impossible, to qualify for all these, tick off all the boxes in CEQA. And not ended up taking you 3, 4, 5 years to do and costing you multiple 6 figures, not 7 figures. Mm-hmm. It's very frustrating. And we're not the problem. It's the unregulated cultivation out there that's the problem. And we can be reined in because, as Yarrow said, they require you to do a lot of things with your indoor cultivation to save energy. Now it's a lot more energy efficient. But we're still getting tagged with the people that go out into the forest and dump pesticides and herbicides all over the place and leave shit everywhere. We're still being looked at like we're that problem, and we're not, because we're more efficient than your typical farmer is. I mean, go out in the almond orchards out there and see how much water gets put on that. And, unless you like almond milk or nut juice, who's this really benefiting besides the almond farmer? I call it nut juice.
Nut juice, I bet.
I bet you do.
Right, the milk I drink comes from a cow.
Mm-hmm.
Come on,
The
man.
other thing that I
Can you milk a cat?
Oh, man.
we're doing that on the
milk
next
anything with nipples.
I'm standing up a webinar on cat milking, and it's going to be a spin-off of this show. I have to cut and run, but the one thing I would also want to add about this article, okay, is it talks about the lack of enforcement of environmental regulation. I don't know what pipe this guy is smoking off of, but in California, it's the exact opposite. And enforcement of environmental regulation has become a vehicle for a form of prohibition in a very complicated manner. And the people who are in fish and game uniforms who go out and enforce environmental rules against cannabis, against regulated cannabis cultivators, many of them are law enforcement that just has a new uniform. So the number of fines and violations for runoff and this, that, and the other. And I'm all for making sure that we are low impact on nature and the environment, but they have become the tip of the spear when it comes to enforcement, especially against outdoor cultivators. And so, yeah, we can all use the example of some cartel grow on Bureau of Land Management land where there's a bunch of pesticides and everything's just flowing into a stream and the salmon is growing a third eye out of their forehead. And we all know that that's a problem. But this environmental regulation enforcement is systemic in our market, and the people who are doing it are not friendly to the industry. And it's not because they're a bunch of hippies who went to Humboldt State and studied forest management. It's because they're law enforcement people who got a new job doing a similar style of enforcement as they were used to.
You know what, Yarrow, you're totally right. One of the first DCC agents that I met, she was her task was to find illegal grows, and she was a former DEA agent, and she said she wanted to get into the business because she wanted to bust grows, and that's why she took the job.
New uniform.
Yep, new uniform, same mindset. Exactly. You're so right about that. But Yarrow, I hope you can stick around because I want to read this last story because I definitely want to hear your thoughts on it, and it's a quickie, so I'm gonna go fast. Okay.
I gotta cut and run, but I'll.
Yarrow gave us a quickie today. He popped in and popped out right after the nut juice.
Whoa. I see what she did there.
It's time for a nap.
Oh man. Yarrow, well, make sure.
I told you guys.
Make sure you watch this one because I want to hear what you have to say about this. Because analysis, you guys, that's right. Nearly 50,000 people have been deported for violating marijuana laws, you guys. Are we going to start this? There we go. Now it's all good. So nearly 50,000 non-citizens have been deported over the past decades for violating marijuana possession laws, according to data compiled by the advocacy groups Human Rights Watch and the Drug Policy Alliance. Researchers analyzed federal deportation data for the years 2002 to 2021. During this time, they estimated that federal officials deported approximately 156,000 non-citizens whose most serious conviction was illicit drug possession. Nearly one-third of those offenders, 47,000, were deported for violating marijuana possession laws. The report's authors further acknowledge that in some instances, non-citizens are being deported for marijuana-related activities that are no longer criminalized by state and local jurisdictions. In a quote, the U.S. federal government has thus far been unwilling to revise federal immigration laws to match current public sentiment on drugs, the authors wrote. And in an additional quote, there is no statute of limitations in federal law on deportation after a criminal conviction, and many immigrants are still being deported for convictions from the late 1980s and early 1990s, sometimes for conduct that is no longer a crime under state law. In total, nearly 1 out of every 5 immigrants deported was removed from the county for a drug-related conviction, you guys. Now, this is super interesting to me because they used data for basically, 20 years. To get these numbers. So, yes, it is a large number, but it is, I think, over the course of 20 years. And I do find it interesting of how the laws have changed, but yet at the same time, this is a federal agency, so they're enforcing federal law, and federal law hasn't changed. So I do find it interesting that they try to make that, that analogy. But I want to hear what you guys have to say about this.
Well, I mean, it doesn't just take a conviction or a criminal offense. Like Canada, we had a really wonderful CPA who was our in-house accountant, and he was coming back from, my Egyptian accountant who was from Canada was coming back from visiting his family in Canada for the holidays. And as he's going through the customs process to come back into the U.S., they asked him what he did. God bless him, he's honest. And he said that he's an accountant at a cannabis company, and they said, no, you're not, and sent him back. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think that this draconian laws that we're still facing with federal prohibition is crazy. If you're here illegally, there's an argument that could be made that you probably shouldn't be breaking laws. In addition to that, you break one law at a time, right? If you're not here lawfully, then maybe don't break any others. But
you got a microscope on you, man. You got a microscope on you. Yeah, and I know, without diving deep into the political banter to end the show, because I've been ending the show on a positive note. Okay. Like that.
All right, whatever.
Say what you want about the real data and the real numbers there. Like, if you're here illegally, man, like, keeping a low profile is how you stay here, right? Like, don't fuck up and don't break the laws, and most likely you will find success. You won't.
When I was in the system, when I was in county jails and detention centers, we had a lot of illegal aliens that were there on drug charges. So this is not a brand new phenomena. When I was in Sacramento County, when I first surrendered, we had a bunch of people that had been pinched in growing up on the state lands, the forest lands, a whole bunch of them. And, everybody wanted, help. Can you help me get out of trouble? It's like, look, you're here illegally.
Yeah.
And my rule has always been, don't break more than one law at a time. And so if you're going to be here illegally and you're going to be running gangster shit, don't be surprised if you end up not only doing some jail time, but then they boot your ass out of the country.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fair.
I would be remiss
enough.
without saying that, the numbers are very down when it comes to like laws and shit, like broken by undocumented people. But yeah, man, if you're here, you want to smoke weed, like, don't get caught.
I feel you. I mean, that's the best way to, I feel you. Yeah. All right.
It's about that.
Or
time.
enter legally and then smoke it up.
Yeah. I mean,
it's about that time. And thank you all for joining us for yet another episode of High at 9 News. You can catch us live weekdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to the super fans getting their comments posted live on the big screen and announced live by the team. The C word.
Yes. Shout out to
Suitors Music.
C-word.
Do we have any others? The C word and the Suitors music came through today. Thank you very much for today's frothy, lactose-free contributions to the High at 9 News Wagyu Beef Cold Cut DEI Fund. Our live audience and online supporters catching us.
Don't forget the spitters.
Platforms. Tuning in each day to the headlines of chaos, also known as the developing cannabis industry. Our vetted correspondent team tuning in from all over, bringing us much needed variety of perspective and your respected opinions to the table. Our production team, Cloud Media Partners, Millie and Adam behind the scenes, keeping our AV struggles to a minimum. And if Adam is in the house, man, is the hair feathered?
No,
Millie's here today.
No, Millie is here in the building today. Adam is traveling to Texas, and he'll be with us tomorrow.
I want to see some footage of that, man.
Safe travel.
I could never see Adam in Texas.
But he definitely, the hair must be feathered if you flew to Texas today.
Oh yeah, birds in the feathers.
His hair's short now. It looks really nice. He's real slick back.
I know.
But he still keeps
he
it
looks like the New Yorker that he is.
I say he looks like a little young John Travolta.
Yeah, like a nice, a nice little hybrid look, if you will, like shaved on the sides and feathered on the top. You know,
I just want to know if he's smoking THCA right now.
No, he's not.
Maybe he's dropping packs. I don't know. Spray packs for life. As always, Cannabis Sativa L, the reason why we show up to read these stories every single day. Thank you, too. It has been Thursday, July 25th, 2025. 2025. I'm in the future already. 2024, the show's over. You've all been blessed with the top industry headlines. Hope it's enough for you to put in your pipe and smoke at least until tomorrow. My name is Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High at 9 News, America's #1 daily cannabis news show. And I like to pop this thing on out. You know, Jenny Beth, you are not in the studio today. We're gonna pop it out to you today. How about that? Pop out.
Because she's popped out.
Yeah, popped out. I'm about to go pop back into bed because, you know, you guys should take care of yourselves. Be nice to people. Try not to be an asshole. Go vote. Just don't be a dick. Don't be a dick.
Why?
Till tomorrow. Then be a dick.
Because